David Benavidez is that guy. Going into this fight, there were a lot of people that were picking Morrell. They thought that he was going to be able to win based off of his athleticism, his punching power, the hand speed, his size. I mean, let's be honest. For a long time, people have referred to David Benavidez as a bully, a size bully, a weight bully, things like that. Not super a lot, but they mention it because he's the bigger guy in a lot of these fights, and he's going in. He's got this aggressive style, walking guys down. He's able to go in there and enforce his will on other people. So naturally, people are looking at this. They're seeing David Morrell and the size that he has relative to Benavidez's other opponents. They're thinking it's not going to go that way. They see the footwork. They see the hand speed, the punching power, all of these different things. They look at how Morrell can come forward, but they know that this man was schooled in the Cuban school of boxing, which means that he can fight off that back foot probably just as well. Counter punches are sharp, all of that. Those are real analysis. Those are people who knew what they were talking about and they were commenting on real things, right? I'm not taking anything away from that in any way, shape, or form. But what I am saying is that David Benavidez shut that down. He shut down all of that talk. He just goes in there and continually performs. He's at 168. He's blowing guys out of the water. He's making it look easy. He's got the combination and the speed and the power and all this kind of stuff. Wants to fight Canelo. Canelo says he's not feeling it. He moves up to 175 and continues to go in there and make things happen. So now, after the performance that we saw last night, the only thing that we can talk about is him fighting the winner of Beterbiev versus Bivol. Okay, because that's the type of performance that he went out there and put on. He went out there in the early rounds and dominated. This was an exciting fight, okay? But I wouldn't necessarily say that it was up in the air. We weren't, when we're at the rounds 5, 6, 7, 8, we weren't thinking about who was winning. It was obvious, man. I mean, what were you going to give Morrell up until that point of the fight? One round, maybe two? So although it was competitive, although there was a lot of back and forth, almost every single time these rounds ended, we were looking and saying, that was another David Benavidez round. That was a round in which David Benavidez was able to do what he wanted. That was a round where Benavidez was able to make things happen and Morrell seemed like he was reacting more. We get the knockdown late in the fight. And I'll be the first to admit, it was a legitimate knockdown. 100%. It was correct that the ref called it a knockdown, not a slip, anything like that. But it was more of a flash knockdown than anything else. Benavidez wasn't hurt by it. The punch didn't land super clean. He got up afterwards. He was still able to go in there and make some things happen. So my hat's off to David Morrell for doing everything that he did in this fight, landing the shots that he did, going in there, executing his skills. The man's still only 27 years old, and he's going to have a big future in front of him. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw these guys tangle again sometime in the future. But that being said, right now it's about David Benavidez. El Monstro came out and proved why he is who everybody says he is. So after a fight like tonight, in which we see him continue to exhibit all the things we've seen in the past, along with, again, continuing to improve on that defensive responsibility that we saw in that fight against Davd. For the longest time, David Benavidez, the big knock against him was his defense. Heads on the center line. He's coming in. He's there to be hit. Luis de Cuba Sr. was saying, man, you ain't going to make it against this guy. He can punch through a wall. Sonny Liston hands. If you make it even 12 rounds with him, I'm going to be super impressed because I don't think you got a chin and I don't think you can stand up to what Morrell brings. It's true, man. Morrell's got that fire, but David Benavidez was picking a lot of those shots off with his gloves and his arms. He was moving his head a little bit more than we've seen. He was coming in and he's able to utilize his offense as his defense. A lot of people don't think about it from that perspective, but when you're throwing that many punches, when you've got that kind of work rate, and when you're applying that pressure and keeping the guy on the back foot, in a way that prevents him from throwing his punches. You don't have to go in there and pick everything off. You don't have to slip and slide and move and get underneath every shot if your guy isn't throwing punches back. And the reason he's not throwing punches back is because of the offense that you're producing, the positioning that you're taking, all of those types of things. I don't think Morrell wanted that fight to go the way that he did. But sometimes you don't have a choice in the matter when the other man's able to come out there and enforce his will on you. So my hat's off to both fighters, but that was a phenomenal performance by David Benavidez. And after this one, all I can think about is that fight between Beterbiev and Bivol, right? They got their rematch coming up in a couple weeks. That's going to be a phenomenal fight, but it's the winner of that one that I want to see step in the ring. So let me know what you guys think. Did you think this one was going to turn out differently? Were you impressed with what each man brought to the table? And what do you think is going to be next for David Benavidez?